Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Scoops VFLW Game Changers Show. I'm your host, Scoops, the sole admin of Scoops. No VFLW footy this week. There was AFLW practice matches. There was the under-18 state AFLW State Championship side matches between the Allies and Queensland, where the Allies got a 5-point victory over Queensland in a really good game. We had some AFLW practice matches where Freo beat West Coast. Port Adelaide beat Adelaide. North Melbourne lost to the Bulldogs. Carlton lost to Richmond. St Kilda lost to Geelong. And there's one more off the top of my head as well. Essendon beat Collingwood on the siren, effectively, from Bonnie Too Good. She was too good in the end. But in saying that, I did attend an AFLW practice match because there was no AFLW footy this week. And it was the Saints and Geelong game, of course. And I also went to Carlton and Richmond. But there was a great highlight from the Saints game where Ash Richards from the Saints kicked one of the goals of the year, and the season hasn't even started. Here it is from Ash Richards, superstar from the Saints. He's Richo.
Ash Richards. Oh, yes, Richo. What a goal from Ash Richards. Goal of the day for sure.
Goal of the day for sure. Goal of the year for sure. What a contender for goal of the year already. Great goal from Richo. I don't think people understand how damn hard that was. That was against the breeze, the wind blowing sideways, backwards on both sides of the ground, really, especially that part of the game. It was very hard to score, and Richo kicked it from like 45 out on the boundary, if you don't mind as well. If you add all that together, that's phenomenal from Richo. A great goal, and one that I'm sure she's really happy with. As for the state championships, I did put a report on my Insta and Facebook page. You can have a check out that if you want, but I'll read it all out for you. So Queensland 8-9-57 was the Allies to Queensland 6-15-51. So a bit inaccurate there. For the Allies, Magella Day backed up another strong game with 3 goals, 6 score involvements, and 12 disposals. Zoe Curry played well with her 17 disposals, 3 clearances, and 4 score involvements. Priya Bowering, who'll be a top midfielder from Tassie, she had 16 disposals with 4 clearances and 4 inside 50s. Isla Wenschke had 16 disposals in a strong game with 6 tackles, 4 clearances, and 5 intercept possessions, one from Isla. Misha Barwin from Tassie also had 14 disposals, a goal, and 10 tackles in another strong game for Misha Barwin. Harriet Bingley had 2 goals and 13 disposals. She played very well. Mae Anderson had another good game with a goal and 12 disposals. Maddie Quinn in the ruck, the Swans Academy young star, had 18 hitouts to go for her 9 disposals, and Frankie Walsh kicked a goal with 13 disposals. For Queensland, they may have lost the game, but they had a lot of individual performances that were just phenomenal. From Sunny Lappin in particular, best on ground for me, with 28 disposals, 5 marks, 8 inside 50, 7 clearances, 9 score involvements. Just absolutely phenomenal from Sunny Lappin. She's eligible to go to the Saints, Gold Coast, or Carlton, so we'll have to wait and see where Sunny chooses. Hopefully it's at the Saints. Michaela Nurse collected 17 disposals and 5 marks. Monique Corrigan in the ruck had 24 hitouts. She did well. Alana Welsh, 2 goals for 15 disposals, 11 score involvements, 7 marks, and 4 tackles. That's just a fantastic game from potential pick 1, Alana Welsh, who will go to Gold Coast through the academy system. And potential pick 1, Georgia Davies, the sister of Fleur Davies, Darcy Davies, and Giselle Davies, who are all in the AFLW system at the moment. Darcy is at Gold Coast, and Georgia is heading that way come this time at the end of the year in December. She had 14 disposals with 3 tackles. She played well, getting pinchy in the ruck if need be as well. Ayana Pritchard had another strong game with 2 goals, 3 behinds, 10 disposals, and 3 marks. I believe she's eligible next year. So if you're having good performances now as a bottom major, just shows how good you'll be in the future. As I said, she kicked 2 goals, 3 with 10 disposals and 3 marks. Rihanna Ingram and Aaliyah Stringer both had 4 clearances. Sorry, Aaliyah Stringer had 4 clearances, but they both had 13 disposals. Mia Gear, who's eligible next year, small forward from the Brisbane Lions Academy, she had 15 disposals and 5 tackles. Sienna Burnham had 13 disposals, 5 tackles, and 5 clearances in a good game. And those clearances were the second most on the ground. So that's my match report for the Under-18 State Championship game between the Queensland side and the Allies. where the Allies got their first victory of the season, and it was a 5-point victory, of the tournament, sorry. This is a 4-game tournament. So they got their final game with a win. So it's good for the Allies. Now, the VFLW show this week, obviously the Game Changer show. Next week is going to be a massive show for VFLW footy on my channel, on my program, because next week on the Monday or Tuesday night will be the first ever installment of the Scoops VFLW medal, where the first ever, the inaugural Scoops VFLW medal winner will be crowned. Who will it be? You have to wait till next week. You've waited 14 weeks, 15, 16 weeks. You can wait another week. It's going to be a must-see count. Someone will be crowned the first ever inaugural Scoops VFLW medal winner. Or can we have a 4-way tie like we had in the AFLW medal last year? We had Mon Conti, Ebony Marinoff, Ash Riddell, and Jazz Garner. The year prior to that, Jazz Garner won on her own. In the AFL Scoops medal, we've had Jack McRae winner, the inaugural winner. We've had Jack Sinclair. We've had Tuke Miller. We've had Tom Green last year. Who will join the history books and be a Scoops medal winner and be the inaugural Scoops VFLW medal winner? You'll find out this time next week on the Monday or Tuesday night. Stay tuned to my socials, in particular on Instagram, AFL Info Live, and you'll be updated. I can't wait to show that show next week. Not only on that show will it be so special to crown the inaugural Scoops VFLW medal winner, also will be revealing in that show my rising star from the VFLW competition for season 2025. We're going to have more awards as well. I might have my most valuable player, my most improved player, players that may have flown under the radar that I thought had really good seasons and I want to highlight, and everything like that. So look forward to that. And then my All-Australian team will be revealed on this podcast episode next week on the Monday or Tuesday. I won't do it on the Scoops VFLW medal show as of right now, so I want to give them their own spotlight and have those players fully recognised in more detail on this show compared to where the Scoops VFLW medal will be mainly about that winner or winners. You'll have to wait and find out. I'm sure you can throw some names in contention of who you think may win. Now, if you're a VFLW player and you're watching this, if you can send me a 10-second clip or so of you saying who you feel will win the Scoops VFLW medal, and who will get the most votes for your team, please send me a message on Instagram, AFL Info Live, just a 10-second clip or something like that. If it goes over, that's okay. Just detail who you think will win and who will get the most votes for your team. There's an account you don't want to miss, and it's going to be must-see content. The first ever Scoops VFLW medal winner will be crowned next week on the show. And also, I want to congratulate 2 players in particular. First off, Kobe Morgan from South Australia, who was a part of the state championships for SA last year. Unfortunately, did not get picked up last year by any club. She's been a train-on with Port Adelaide, and she's officially signed with the Port Adelaide Football Club for season 2025. So well done to Kobe Morgan, a very underrated player who I rated highly in my power rankings for the draft last year in the women's competition. And she's been picked up by Port Adelaide. She's been training on with them this year, which I did not know that. And she's now been picked up by the Power, played in their scratch match on the weekend. So well done to Kobe Morgan on joining the Port Adelaide Football Club. Well-deserved, Kobe. Should have happened last year, but it's happened now. So that's all that matters at the end of the day. She played in the Stanford this year, averaged about 10 disposals on the wing. So well done to Kobe Morgan. And the most recent one after Kobe was like the day or two after. And finally, a name I've been throwing up for months has been picked up. We've thrown up Talia Sanger. We've thrown up Amy Trinidad. We've thrown up Stacey Stevenson, Isla Baldwin, Sophie Locke, Paige Price, etc., Matilda Van Berkel. But finally, a name with those girls that I've been throwing up to be picked up and be adamant that one of those girls should be picked up. Finally, one of them has been picked up, and it's Charlotte Brewer from the Collingwood VFLW side, who's been picked up by Carlton's VFLW side. Sorry, take that back. Charlotte Brewer from Collingwood's VFLW side has been picked up by the Blues AFLW side. So well done to Charlotte Brewer. Well-deserved. Someone that should have been drafted last year. Someone that's been passed by a fair few clubs that have had list spots open this year. Charlotte was in that group of names that I just mentioned that should have been picked up already. And finally, a name I've been advocating for has been picked up. So well done to Charlotte Brewer. Good luck at the Blues. She played in the scratch match when I was there. She didn't play too much of the game, And she only literally joined them the day before, so she wasn't even there 24 hours, and she's already playing a scratch match with them against the Tigers. From, the limited time she played, she got the ball a few times, and I thought she did well. So, it's very hard sometimes to adjust to a new side within a day and play well. Granted, some of those girls she would have played against for Collingwood in the VFLW only about 4 weeks ago at Vic Park, when Carlton stacked their VFLW side of about 12 AFLW players. So some of those played on Friday night at Icon Park, where Charlotte would have had some form of a connection with, maybe, if any, with those girls. So anyway, one under Charlotte Brewer, well deserved to join the Blues. Now, just the other names we need to see be picked up. The Saints still have a list spot open. I went to the Saints AFLW practice match. There was about 5 players that didn't play, that are on the list, like Liv Vesely didn't play, Alana G, who's injured at the moment, Darcy Guttridge, etc. But the Saints have a list spot. They did not have any train-on players playing, so it shows they're still making up their mind. They got about 2 weeks to go before the AFLW season starts, and I'm going to advocate again. Oh, by the way, Paige Price played for Hawthorn in the AFLW practice match against Melbourne and played in the back line and forward line, I noticed. So well done to Paige for getting an opportunity. Hopefully she is one of those names that I keep mentioning that gets picked up. So St Kilda got a list spot open, okay? Watching St Kilda on the weekend, they tried to float a fair few plays in the midfield. Serene Watson played midfield in the last quarter. Janome Anderson played in the midfield for parts of the game. Obviously, the usual names, Patrikios, Tiana Smith, Jamie Lambert, etc., all played there. I still feel like Zenos didn't play in the forward line either, so I just feel like a forward is what we need. But all those names I mentioned are mainly mids, or key defenders, or intercept defenders, or a ruck. But of that group of names, I keep mentioning Talia Sanger, Amy Trinidad, both mids, Paige Price, a ruck, Matilda Van Berkel, intercept defender, Sophie Locke, a small forward. But if you want to go someone that hasn't had the opportunity, Stacia Stevenson is the player that the Saints should be targeting, who's probably averaged over 8 tackles a game this year, playing as a mid-forward, averaging around 18 disposals, when she's played predominantly forward at the start of the year. So to have the numbers that she's getting, and she's only 19 this year, it's pretty damn impressive. So Stacia Stevenson should be one that the Saints are looking at. She can play mid, she can play forward, and even play a halfback if need be. But if you want that flexibility, of all those names I mentioned, they are all very, very good. But Stacia is probably the most versatile of that group and can play mid-forward. And versatility is so damn important these days. So the Saints, I urge you to pick one of those names. Stacia Stevenson, Talia Sanger, Amy Trinidad, Isla Baldwin, Paige Price, Matilda Van Berkel, or Sophie Locke. I've advocated for these names for so long. We finally got one picked up, and that's Charlotte Brewer, and that's fantastic for her. But now we need to see some of those names that I've just mentioned, and there's others that I haven't mentioned who are in this same conversation, but I can't list 50 names and remember them all off the top of my head. But they're the names in particular that the Saints should be looking at. The Giants have a list spot open. West Coast have a list spot open. Apparently the Giants may not use it, but we'll have to wait and see. The Eagles have got a spot still. I urge those 3 clubs to pick from that list of names that I've just listed off. You've got mids, you got rucks, you got forwards, you got defenders. So there's no excuses. It's got to be one of those names that those 3 clubs pick up. And if they do, you've got a good player. If you don't, you may still have a good player, but I'll be scratching my head going, what about one of these girls who are really, really earning it? So that's from the VFLW competition. Obviously, also congratulations to South Adelaide, who won the SANFLW Premiership against the Woodville West Torrens yesterday by 23 points, 41-18. Well done to the South Adelaide girls. Back-to-back. Mooney, who I had on the podcast recently, Soraya Moon, the ruck. Back-to-back premierships for her. Tiffany King, it's Tiffy time. All the girls at South Adelaide. Emma Charlton was named best on ground. She is draft eligible next year. She's the sister of Tia Charlton from the Crows. So, again, Emma Charlton played well for SA in the state championships. They've still got some more games to go. So, Emma, Imogen Cheringove, who played for Woodville yesterday, who had a solid game in defeat. There's some names you'll hear at the end of this year and next year. Some future stars of the SANFLW competition as well. And in the Waffle W, for example, I see the players that didn't get drafted from last year, like Sienna Jezewski, who's playing well for East Freo. Georgia Alessio for East Perth, who's doing well in the midfield and can play up forward as well. Tackling machine is Georgia. You know, all these players playing there at the moment. Jamie Harkin, who was let go from the Eagles, who's still dominating in waffle level. Lisa Steen, who was at Sydney. You know, there's a lot of Subiaco girls that are doing well as well. All around the competition, it's great to see the growth of women's footy. It's growing so well in all three state league competitions. They're the main three anyway. And, you know, so many players are succeeding and deserve the opportunity at the top level, at AFLW level. So they're just some names that come off the top of my head. There's plenty more. Some that'll be drafted this year, that are draft eligible this year. You know, but like Evie Coucher hasn't played a single game in the state championships because of an injury. She could potentially still be pick one. So from WA, an intercept defender, Zatul, who was best on ground for WA and the whole competition last year as a bottom major, won the best and first as a bottom major at Peel Thunder. So, you know, she's a star, Evie Coucher, and she'll be one. They'll be around pick one this year. Eloise Macareth, 2 from the Samford W League, played well for SA. She's one name. They'll be around the pick one conversation. She's a star as well. There's so many names. There's so many damn names I could mention. Even the Tassie girls like Isla Wenschke and Priya Bowering, some names in the midfield that'll be names you should look out for going into this year's draft. Priya Bowering will probably be the first Tassie player selected in the women's draft this year. There's so many names, so much talent going around, and they're names that need to be picked up for sure. All right. Now, let's continue on with the world famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang. Just a light one this week. You know, so much footy on at the moment, which is great. But there wasn't any VFLW footy this week. Now, for sides like Geelong and Casey and Carlton and the Bulldogs, who can't make finals and haven't been able to make it for a long time, let's be real, do they really want the week off? Like, they just want to get this last game out of the way and go on their merry way and do what they want to do. But they've got to wait an extra week. It's like you're punishing them a week more. Besides, like North Melbourne, they're on top of the ladder. They rested about 8 players last week, or last game. They've had 2 weeks off. And then after this weekend against Sandy, I think how the fixture will work for the finals is top 6, obviously, but they're going to have another week off, potentially. So is that good form going into finals? Time will tell. But yeah, the week off, it's got to go. They already had one mid-season. It's only a 14-round competition. You don't need 2 buys. I think it's completely unnecessary. You know, Port Melbourne and Darebin are fighting for a spot in the top 6 with Essendon and Williamstown. You know, so it's up for grabs. But, you know, you want to see it now. You want to see the best of the best play right now. And having a week off isn't the right thing to do, especially before the last round. If you do it between the last round and the week 1 of finals, I hate that idea as well. But whatever, it makes a bit more sense. The last round before the season does not make sense. The mid-season one does not make sense. No buys altogether. They're all annoying. Get rid of the buys. The people in charge with this fixture need to get rid of the buy round. Stop copying the AFL. They don't need a buy. Look at the AFLW. They don't have any buys, and that's how it should be in every state league competition. To the people in charge with that, please get rid of it. Thank you very much. Hope you all enjoyed that edition of the world-famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang. Now, no games to review this week, so let's go ahead and preview the weekend's games and the last round of the home and away season, round 14. And then I'm going to go through the ladder in terms of who can make it and who won't make it and all the ideas and potential things that could happen. So 2 games on Friday night, which is another problem I have. Like, why are we clashing games again? Like, why are we clashing games again? So we got Friday night at Icon Park, 7:05 p.m. Victorian time. It's Carlton hosting Box Hill. Must win for Box Hill. You want good form going into finals. They've lost the last few. They haven't been that great the last few weeks, and they would admit that against Essendon and Williamstown, albeit a good comeback. But they started slow in both those games, and it was almost impossible to come back from. They got Carlton. If they don't play their AFLW players, which they shouldn't, because there's AFLW practice matches this weekend as well, so they shouldn't have any. So I'll be tipping Box Hill by 40 points. If the AFLW players were somehow playing, like the ones not picked in the practice match, I'll go Box Hill still by 15 points. But if not, 40 points for me. Whitten Oval, Western Bulldogs and Essendon must-win game for the Bombers. They lose, and all hell could break loose. They lose, and a few other results go against them. They could be out. They only just got in, but they could be back out, and out for good for this season. Against the Bulldogs, who shouldn't be playing AFLW players this week, I'll be tipping the Bombers in this one by 20 points without AFLW players playing. If they do, I'll tip the Bulldogs by 5 points, but I think the Bombers will win this one. Abby McDonald's come back and has been a revelation for that side. They missed her, Abby McDonald, for 3 weeks with concussion, and she's been bloody impressive since coming back into the side. And even when she wasn't in the side through injury, prior to the injury, sorry, she was doing very well as well. Saturday, 2 games on Saturday, both at 10:05. Again, they're clashing, just stupid. Again, stupid. Saturday, Williamstown, Collingwood, 10:05 a.m. at DSV Stadium, which is in Williamstown. I'll be tipping the Pies in this one by 20 points. Williamstown lose this. They may not make finals either. But, you know, we'll have to wait and see. But realistically, they make it, though, because of their better percentage and 4 points in the top 6. But mathematically, they could fall over. They shouldn't. But Collingwood by 40 points for me. The other game on Saturday at 10:05 a.m. at ETU Stadium is Port Melbourne hosting Casey. I'll be tipping Port Melbourne this one, and they need to win to play finals and keep their small chance alive, hoping the Bulldogs beat Essendon and all that. But Port Melbourne, for me, to win by 50 points over Casey. I just think they're going to be too damn good. They're a better side than what they produced last week, but they almost stole it from the Bulldogs and probably could have won that, to be honest. But, you know, it is what it is. So the last 2 games on Sunday, they actually don't clash. But 9:45 a.m., seriously, at Trevor Barker Beach Oval in Sandy, it's Sandringham hosting North Melbourne. Wow. You know, this is a top 3 clash. First v third. North are way better than everyone at the moment, let's be real. They're the most consistent side. They don't have their off games. They had 2 in the start of the year, and they haven't looked back since. I'll be tipping North Melbourne by 48 points. Hopefully Sandy can show up against the top side, because against Collingwood, they lost by over 50 points. And against Box Hill, they lost by over 50 points. So they need to step it up against the top sides and really need to pull their head in against top sides. If they want to be a genuine contender, they've got to beat sides like North. I feel like if they play their best they can, they've had a lot of injuries, Sandy, and, you know, it's really hard for Imogen Evans, unfortunately, doing her ACL, which is just shit to hear. We wish Imogen all the best. They've had players be drafted like Erica Fowler and Lauren Brazzali. Sophie Lockme some games at the start of the year. So, you know, they've had some players get injured along the way as well, that have been regulars in their team. So it doesn't help, but that doesn't excuse losing by 50-plus points against the top sides. I'm tipping the Roos by 48 points. In the last game in the round, that could have huge implications on the top 6. Geelong and Darebin, 1:05 p.m. at KFC Oval. That is in St. Mary's in Geelong, not at Deakin Uni, so a different ground this time. So I'm going to be tipping Geelong to not win this one. I'm going to have Darebin win this one by 15 points. Now, what can happen mathematically, realistically, for the final 6? So North Melbourne will automatically finish on top. It's as simple as that. Now, if Collingwood were to lose to Williamstown and Sandringham somehow beat North, Sandringham would go second. But if Collingwood lost to Williamstown and Sandy and Box Hill won, Collingwood would drop to 4th. And that's as low as they can drop. North Melbourne, no matter the results, stay on top. If Collingwood win, they will stay second, no matter what happens below them. If Sandy lose, they could drop as far as 5th. If Box Hill and Williamstown both won. If Box Hill win, they could go as high as 2nd. If they lose, they mathematically can fall out of the top 6, but realistically they will not. If Williamstown win, they will go as high as technically equals 2nd, but that won't happen. Mathematically, it could. Realistically, it won't. Realistically, though, they could go as high as 3rd. And for Essendon, they could go as high as 4th and could fall out of the 6th, worst case. So now exactly how will this happen? So it's as simple as this. Now, realistically, from the top 6 point of view, only Williamstown realistically and Essendon can fall out. Now, technically, Williamstown, if they lose 20% and Darebin gain 20%, or they match up together, That's how Williamstown can fall out if Williamstown lose and Darebin win easily. So realistically, Williamstown won't miss the finals even if they lose and lose badly, because Darebin would need to win by over 100 points and Williamstown would need to lose by over 100 points. So that's not happening. So realistically, the last spot is down to Essendon, Darebin, and Port Melbourne. Essendon play the Western Bulldogs. If Essendon defeat the Western Bulldogs, Port Melbourne and Darebin, no matter how they go on the weekend, it's all over Red Rover. Darebin and Essendon are technically on the same points, but 15% behind. So if Essendon win, say by 20, and they gain 3%, Darebin will need to win by like 300 points, and that's clearly not happening. So if Essendon beat the Bulldogs, realistically, that's the top 6 signed, sealed, and delivered. And that's Friday night, so you'll know by Friday night if the top 6 is locked in. If Essendon lose to the Bulldogs, however, the top 6 is wide open, because on Saturday, Port Melbourne play Casey, which they will win. So then they would temporarily go into the top 6 by 2 points, which would mean Essendon is out and Port Melbourne are in by 2 points on 30 points. However, Darebin would be on 28 points. So a draw, Darebin wouldn't mathematically make the top 6. So then it would go down the last game on Sunday between Darebin and Geelong. If Essendon lose, and it wouldn't matter for them if Port Melbourne win, but if Essendon lose, Darebin just need to beat Geelong to somehow make it into the top 6 and play finals. Out of nowhere, that would be. So if Essendon win, the top 6 is set and they play finals, and Darebin and Port Melbourne, no matter their results, are out. If Essendon lose and Darebin lose to Geelong, then Port Melbourne would play finals. And that would mean my top 6 would be how I predicted in the pre-season. So come on, Port Melbourne, get the win, which they should. And if Essendon and Darebin lose, my top 6 prediction will be correct. So, realistically, what will happen? I say that Essendon will be playing finals. I expect them to beat the Bulldogs. So, the top 6 should remain how it is. But if Essendon lose, Darebin are a genuine chance to play finals. And wow, what a sight that would be, and what a shock that would be. That would shock the system indeed. Adam Cole reference there in WWE when he was there. Shock the system. But yeah, that's the ladder. That's all the finals equations and who can make finals. Next week I'll talk about who plays who and everything like that, or who plays who. Because there's too many hypotheticals I'm gonna throw here. But that's in simple terms how I can analyze who can make finals realistically and unrealistically, mathematically and realistically. So there you have it. Now, my final thoughts are simply this. Please tune in to this episode of next week and the inaugural Scoops VFLW Medal. I don't clickbait things. I mean things. I spit facts. And when I tell you that it's 2 episodes of this show and the Scoops VFLW Medal, you do not want to miss. It's going to be must-see content. The best coverage of VFLW footy and the only coverage of VFLW footy each and every week is right here on my channel, the Scoops channel. All things footy 24/7 is not just a catchphrase. It's a fact. All things footy 24/7. VFLW, AFLW, SANFLW, WAFLW, AFL, you name it. Scoops has it covered. The draft as well, the trade period in all the competitions. I'm across it all. And I don't think you can say otherwise that anyone else does that. And I do this all on my own. I'm not in a group of people. I do this for my viewers and fans and everything. I do this on my own for each and every one of you because I love doing what I'm doing, and I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing in covering VFLW footy, SANFLW, WAFLW, AFLW, AFL, the draft, the trade period, in all state league competitions and AFL and AFLW competitions, because I love it and something I love doing. If you know any VFLW players who would love to be a part of the inaugural Scoops VFLW Medal show, please hit me up on Instagram, AFL Info Live. I greatly appreciate it. And to everyone watching, good luck to your side this week. Hopefully, if you're one of the sides competing for the top 6, hopefully the results go your way and your side plays finals, and same goes the sides wanting to finish in the top 2 and everything like that, because that spot is still up for grabs. Thank you all. And if you want to be sending a video clip in to be a part of the Scoops VFLW Medal show, to put your predictions in, please send me a message on Instagram, AFL Info Live. and send a 10-second clip or so saying who you think will win the inaugural Scoops VFLW medal. Send me a message or a video message for about 10-20 seconds on who you think will win the inaugural Scoops VFLW medal and who you think will poll the most votes for your club that you go for or you play in. Thank you all very much. Until then, thank you very much and go the Zebras.